Good afternoon and welcome to the Athens-Clarke County Board of Elections voter registration meeting. This is our regular monthly meeting. The date is October 10th. Time is 4:37 p.m. And we are at 120 West Doherty Street. First item on the agenda is to adopt the agenda. Chair will entertain a motion to adopt.
And second.
Motion, Ms. Till, second, Ms. Fambro. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Agenda is adopted. Next item on the agenda are two sets of minutes, one from September 12th, one from September 25th. Board members, take a moment to review. If there are no changes, the floor is open for a motion.
They look okay to me.
I move that we approve the minutes from the September 12th regular meeting and the September 25th special meeting.
Okay, second.
I second.
Okay. Motion, Mr. Shirley, second by Ms. Fambro. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, the minutes are adopted. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Does anyone wish to make public comment? Yes? Okay, hold on. Let me get the timer out. Okay, go ahead.
Jacqueline Elsner, 315 Caldwell Circle. It's lovely to be back in person. I always watch the movies, even if I can't be. But my question, I understand questions are not answered, but it would be, how do we, in Clarke County, how do we recommend a homeless person get registered to vote? Because I know that y'all make sure this happens, but I just don't know the person. I understand this is not a question and answer session. That's all. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Anybody else wishing to make a public comment? Does not appear as though there are other members of the public here, so we will move on. Next item on the agenda is the director's report, which you can find in your packet. Chair recognizes the director.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. I hope you all are doing well.
Couldn't be better.
It's good to be here. So you have in your packets the activity report for September 2023.
Excuse me.
And that report includes the showing that we have 71,015 voters, a little less than last month, as we will see that some of our voters have moved to inactive status. We have a larger number of eligible voters than last month, 82,162. Again, some of our active voters moved inactive. And then we have, for cancellations, we have 61 voters. Of that 61, 53 are deceased voters and 8 are felony removals. And of course, we've filled the request of 25 voter IDs this month, which is down from last month. But we're still providing IDs per state law for voting purposes. The next item is the unveiling of the finalists for the ACC Advanced Voter Sticker Contest. Pam is going to give us an update on, no, I'm sorry, Pam or Letha? Pam will give an update on the Advanced Voter Sticker Contest, as the winner was informed earlier today in our office.
Okay, I'm speaking on the behalf of Nathan Ward. Good afternoon, board. Our department hosted the judging for the designs that were submitted for the I Voted Early sticker contest that was held on Friday, September the 1st, where 4 judges scored 153 designs that were submitted between August the 8th and August 27th. Each design was scored using 4 criteria: the guidelines that were followed, the appealing design, suitable for stickers based on size and shape, and the appropriate theme. This way, each sticker was judged individually as it was its own merit, not in comparison to other designs. The designs were presented in the order that they were submitted, and the only information the judges had to assess the design itself and the number. There were 4 designs that scored the highest. That was the Athena, the Dome, the Bulldog, and the Hands, and I have copies of those right here. I will pass that along. The voting was held on between September 6th and October 1st, and 833 people voted in the contest. The design with the most votes was the Dome design, which was submitted by Jennifer Denson. She was the winner. It received 38% of the total votes. The other finalists were Jessica Reynolds, who submitted the Hands design, Kelly Hart, who submitted both the Bulldog and the Athena designs. And then on October the day, we hosted the finalists in the election office and awarded them their prizes. Each finalist won a T-shirt with their design on the back and the AC logo on the front, a Secure the Vote bag, and an ACC election umbrella. As the winner of the contest, Jennifer Dixon, she also won a mug with her Dome design and an ACC logo on it in a $50 downtown Athens gift card. Denson's sticker will be ordered and it will be used in our 2024 elections, the early voting periods, starting with the presidential preference, the early voting, which starts on September the 19th, 2024. Thank you.
All right. So we're really excited about just the camaraderie of our community coming together and submitting their designs and just giving us a little bit of what they foresee what advanced voting should look like in 2024. I'm excited about Athens-Clarke County having its own advanced voting sticker. And you will hear a lot more about this in our conference coming up, as I've been chosen to be a voluntold that I was going to be a speaker about outreach, and this is going to be part of it. So kudos to Athens-Clarke County community and to the staff here in the elections office and for our board for supporting us in these efforts. We appreciate that. And this is part of one of our strategic goals. So we're really excited about reaching this milestone. So yeah. The next item on my update is the poll worker training, and Lisa is going to give you an update on that. And following her update, I would like to ask your approval. And I believe there is a form that you would sign to say that you approve that we are ready for the November 7th, 2023 election. Lisa, if you could at this time.
Okay, so we're almost completed with training. We have 3 more classes to go, 2 advanced classes and 1 class for the managers and assistant managers on Saturday. They've been very well attended. I haven't had to stay on anybody about coming to training, which has been great. You should have a list of all of the managers' names and how many you have this list. So you just have a list of all of the managers' names, how many hours they were trained. It includes the managers that are also early voting managers so that you can know who they are. There was a total of 186 hours combined of online training and in-person training for our managers and assistant managers that we provided.
All right, and we have those that list there. I believe there are 6 poll managers that will be trained on October 14th. Again, that's the last managers training that we will conduct. So if you could sign off on that, we appreciate it.
Attorney, do we need to amend the agenda to vote on this, or do we need to vote on this?
That is a really good question. So I guess technically you could take the position that it's part of the director's report, but I do appreciate that there's probably some lack of transparency there since I don't think this is the normal practice here. I think what I understand from Charlotte is that this is practice that used previously and that you were wanting to utilize. So I think if in the interest of being fully transparent, there's certainly nothing wrong with voting to amend the agenda and then voting to approve the document. I think it would be appropriate to make an official vote before the board or someone on behalf of the board signs the document.
Amend the agenda after the report.
Thank you. Number 4 item is the voter outreach and engagement update, and Pam and Lisa will both give you updates on those as it will list the National Disabled Voter Awareness Week, National Voter Registration Week, and National Voter Education Week. If you guys could do that.
All right, so National Disabled Voting Week is first on the list. We held a rather large event, well-planned event on 9/13 at the library. We had several tables set up for people to come and visit. There was transit was there to help people understand how to best use their ADA transit options. And we had a station open with the poll worker application ready to go if anyone wanted to apply to be a poll worker. There was a table for registration. We had several pieces of equipment set up, the ATI machines that someone could use so they could practice if they wanted to. We partnered with Georgia Options, and they also had a table. They are a group that assists so that people can live independently.
Yes, we have National Voter Registration Week.
Okay. On Tuesday, September the 19th, 2 of our staff members, they set up a table over at the Tate Center from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. to register students to vote and to ask any questions that they may have about voting in Athens. So we had about 5 students that registered to vote that day. About 10 took absentee ballot applications, and they had an undetermined number of students that used a QR code to access My Voter page and to update their registration online. And then that evening at 6 o'clock, we hosted a voter registration session for our organizations interested in holding registration drives, as well as any interested voters who wanted to register to vote. So this session took place at the library from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Winter Hardy from the New Georgia Project and Mr. Hank Kadir were in attendance for this event, and as far as other members of the BOE staff. And then as far as for the election of National Voter Education Week, during this week, we have already hosted 2 election sessions. We had one on October the 4th, where we hosted a session at the Miriam Moore Community Center. We had a nice little few number of participants to come that day. And then on the 5th, we held a session at the Athens Library where Director Soulsby and myself were in attendance. And we also hosted and the topics that were discussed basically with voter registration, absentee by mail, advanced voting, poll worker information, runoff information, and the 2024 elections. And on tomorrow evening, which was tentatively scheduled for last week during the voter education week, we're gonna have a session with our local officials. And then each day during the National Education Week, we posted like little informational tidbits on our website. Thank you. Facebook page.
On the Facebook page?
On the Facebook page.
Yes, okay. Next item is the department's focus, and what I would need from you, as soon as you have an item that you would like to include in the budget for FY 25, if you could give that to me as we prepare for making that proposal. The deadline to make proposals usually is January 5th, but I would like to have it well in advance so that it can be, if it becomes a new initiative, then it's an earlier time. I believe it's the end of October, mid-November. So if you could get those items to me as soon as you can. In preparation for the November 7th, 2023 election, I've highlighted the advanced voting schedule. And then our early tabulation of absentee ballots will begin. I put Tuesday noon at 7, November 7th, but it will be sooner than that. Alika, would you happen to have those dates with you? Anyway, those dates will be publicized. That is not the correct date. That's what we thought we would do, but we found out some of the publications have already gone out to have a sooner date and time, so.
October 31st. October 30th.
October.
Halloween is the first day.
October 31st will begin. And is it from 2 p.m.
Yes.
to noon? Yes, thank you, thank
Will there be candy and costumes?
you.
No.
Everybody dressed like a witch?
I don't have to dress like one.
Yeah.
That's the best I heard all week. Best I heard all month.
I'm gonna bring you some candy corn.
Fine by me. I'll wear a costume.
Circus peanuts.
Okay. So I don't have this on here, but I thought it'd be something to mention. We will be sending out registration cards, new registration cards to the voters who were affected by the changes. There was an email from one of our commissioners that stated that why not send everyone a voter registration card? Because it is a buzz, it is a topic that's being discussed right now. And for someone not to receive a card, we want them to not think that they weren't informed. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that we missed them purposely, but technically they wouldn't be getting one because they weren't affected by the change, but perception can be sometimes, no?
Then I'll cut down on the phone calls.
Yes, cut down on the phone calls. So we're looking at providing a card to every voter. And this is another reason why, particularly there are 2 schools that will be renamed on November 3rd. Alps Elementary School will become Betty Henderson Holston Elementary, and Chase Street Elementary will become Johnny Lay Burks Elementary. So those polling location cards will change. So those.
There's Is Alps a?
Alps
is not
isn't, that's right, but
Yeah.
Chase is, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I wanted to make note of that, particularly that, yeah, that is one of our poll locations, so. Let's see, the last thing is the open records request, and Audrey will give you an update on those.
Okey dokey. For the month of September of 2023, we had 4 open records requests. And it's not listed here, but if I may, since I have the floor, could I go ahead and give a quick update on absentee
Please.
applications? So far, we have 53 total applications. And out of that 53, 15 of those were submitted through Jarvis. And everyone listening, watching, please make sure you get your applications in. The deadline is Friday, October 27th, 2023.
Thank you, welcome. All right, that's all I have. Do you have any questions?
I have 2.
Okay.
Back to the voter education week. How many, item A, the disability week? How many, did we get any poll worker applications? Anybody apply?
We had extremely minimal attendance.
Then on the Tate Center event, those students that registered, could they only register for Clarke County or whatever? If they put their home address, we would process it and then they would be able to vote. And
They would be able to vote here if they updated their registration to Athens-Clarke. And I'm pretty sure that's what they probably did. They probably were registered in their hometown.
okay,
Yes,
so if their license says Macon Bibb County and that's how they filled the form out, we could still process it, but they would vote in Bibb County or?
They would have to get an absentee application to be able to vote.
And it goes to Bibb County.
Yeah, they would go.
You would just mail it to them.
Mhm.
Okay. That is all I had. You had a question?
I did, Director Sosby, the precinct cards we're talking about, the plan had been to mail cards to just those whose locations were affected by the changes we made, right?
Yeah.
And since we're considering making it to everybody, which I understand that. This you and I corresponded about. These are the same precinct cards that the state generates for us, is that right? Or
That's
through their
correct.
vendor?
Yes.
And so in this case, I can see a benefit with, to having, say we have a voter who used to vote at Chase Elementary if they're gonna get this new card, that's gonna remind them, you still voted Chase Elementary, this brand new elementary school name, is there some way we could have the state vendor or whatever put in formerly Chase Street Elementary to show them it's the same building?
In the past system, in the previous system, I was able to go in and say, not a location change, name change.
Hmm.
Now, this is a new system, so I'm not sure how that will happen, but I will attempt
Okay.
to put that in there.
Cause I can see, like some of us, I can see a voter thinking, where's that school at?
Yes.
Oh, that school, it's the same building. We just need to say it's the same building. We're going to the same place.
Now, if we can't do that, then what I'm going to suggest of our staff is to have a letter sent to the voter, and inside the letter is their registration card.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay.
yeah, we'll figure out the best way to do it.
Right. And that little wrinkle is completely independent of what we've done this year with the precincts. That was going to be a change to the name of the school anyway that was outside of our control.
Yes.
Right? It's just kind of a perfect storm of those two together. Right?
Yes,
Thank you.
definitely.
Questions? Ms. Fambro? No. Okay. I did have one question, and we might have to add this to the amending of the agenda. The certification meeting. Can we nail that date down? Do we need more than one this time?
No, you would only
Lovely.
need one. The election has to be certified by November 14th by 5 p.m.
Tuesday, right?
Yes,
Tuesday,
it's
Tuesday.
because of Veterans Day, because it would normally be that Monday.
Okay.
So,
So the 10th? Would you? Is Athens-Clarke County closed on the 13th?
It's closed on the 10th.
Veterans Day, when is Veterans?
I've got the 10th with all. the-
yes.
Right, that a Monday?
Friday.
Next
So
Friday.
that
So we
Monday,
can do it on
we could
Monday,
do on Monday, yes.
4
Yes.
o'clock? Or is that, oh yeah, because it's 5 o'clock the next
Yes.
day, right?
Yes.
Does Monday, the 13th of November work for everyone? 4 o'clock?
I won't be here at 4, but I can be here.
Oh, 4:30. Can we do 4:30? Lexington Road, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
4:30, Lisa, 4:30, I'm sorry, 4:30 at Lexington Road.
That should be fine.
Okay.
I have a notation on my calendar that says on Monday provisional ballot deadline. Does that mean we have to wait until 5 on that day?
Yes,
Sure it is.
yes, that's why,
Well,
yes.
is it gonna be, obviously there'll probably only be one or two, but traditionally we hold the meeting, we
Yes, we should be fine.
gavel in and then recess and then
4:30? 4:30.
we won't vote on anything until after 5, right?
Yes.
Okay.
uh-huh.
All right.
Only if you have a provisional voter who requires ID. If you don't have.
If we
that,
don't,
then you can
then-
proceed, yes.
So Monday,
Is that the 13th?
it is, yes,
Okay, thank you.
November 13th.
November 13th, and we decided
4:30.
4:30, okay. At Lexington,
Road.
yep. Okay. Just-
I know for election days, some election days, we have had a special meeting during that day just to kind of circle up about how the day went. This election is not going to be as large scale as other elections. We want to do the same things for consistency or.
Oh, yeah. Well, we can just do it 4:30 again. Isn't that what we usually do?
I think so.
Like I know that for next November, obviously we'll do that.
Do more.
General.
Yeah, we did more then.
Right, but for this one, do we want to at least do just the one 4:30 on election day?
I think that's fine.
Since it's so small.
The warehouse.
I'll probably try to get facilities conference room for us like we usually do.
Yeah, we'll still be there late because it's all the precincts, even though it's one. Yeah, okay. I think that concludes the director's report. Let's move on.
Yes.
All right, we need to amend the agenda to approve the precinct managers. So the chair will entertain a motion to amend the agenda to include under new business precinct manager training approval. Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion, Ms. Till, second, Ms. Fambro. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, agenda is adopted. Just making a note. All right. Under old business, we have update on RFP for Spanish language translation. And that is Mr. Shirley's item. So the chair recognizes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Previously, we had discussed, last month, we were made aware of the two organizations that had responded to the request for project manager proposals. And we, as I recall, we were advised, strongly encouraged to get at least three, to find some more. I believe that we had agreed, since there was not a need for a big rush, that we could wait and see if more had been forthcoming. I have not heard from anyone officially having responded. Have we heard from any other persons or groups besides the two that we heard from last month?
We have not, for the third vendor we reached out to was Interpreters Unlimited. And we sent in a response per, I believe, their website request that it be done online. And we have not received a response from them.
Are they on the state approved list?
They are. It's
When did
actually
you reach out
5.
to them? When did you reach out to them?
10/3, I believe, October 3rd.
Meticulous notes over there.
Yeah. October 3rd, and we haven't heard from them. We
I mean,
reached
that's
out
not-
by phone and was told that, you know, we needed to send a request online, and we said, yeah, we did that.
Right.
So,
Strange.
yeah, but of the 5
Of
vendors,
course, everyone's checked their spam and all that stuff, right?
so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's 6 vendors, and 3 of those 6 vendors are for sign language only. So the 3 that we've reached out to are ones that are not
Okay.
sign language. So that's Ad Astra, Northwest Interpreters Incorporated, and Interpreters Unlimited Incorporated. Ad Astra is the one that we have received a quote and an agreement.
So they've had time to respond.
So I guess, so where I'm at, I know that looking over the notes, we had discussed reaching out to more community groups for their input. I know that we had mentioned that I had offered to help put together like a draft of language for it. I haven't gotten that to y'all, I'm sorry. I wonder though, at this stage, like, I guess it becomes a question for the attorney's office. Attorney Hines, what would be your advice regarding how long must we leave the offer out, accept responses before it becomes acceptable that we only have two, we have fewer than the recommended number of 3 respondents?
Yeah, so when I talked to Charlotte after our last meeting, she indicated that finance had told her that it might be okay, correct me if I'm wrong, to just have the 2. It's not what I've previously been told by finance, but they may have changed the policy, or, you know, it may depend on the value of the contract and all sorts of different things. So given that finance has already said that they're fairly comfortable, given that we can say, you know, we can verify that we've reached out to all of the Spanish service providers that are on the state approved list, and that, you know, we haven't received a response, I think it's, you know, fairly safe to move forward at this point.
Okay, thank you. Then I guess then that brings to me the thinking from last month that we had all sort of said the proposals seemed great from the professional vendors that responded to us. We just wanted to give ourselves a little time in case, because I think the way I presented this was we liked the idea of what the Cap County had done, which is more of a homegrown, community-based. So that way you have the local touch, the local taste, and people having their say in things. I don't know that we can go that way right now. I have not heard from any local groups, so we can perhaps, if we wanted to wait a little longer, and I can make sure I get that letter drafted, we can reach out to any groups we know of. I recall we were advised that the contracting process, I think, will still take 30 to 60 days, we were advised. So there's not really we can't turn this around in a week. And of course, the goal is to have things ready for the president's preference primary, so we're not out of time. We could proceed with one of these two. I know I had also, I think Mr. Kadir had asked me if I would prepare an estimate. They gave us their rates, right, how many cents it was per word of translation. And we had thought about the possibility of just giving a ballpark of what that would mean for the number of words we would need translated. I haven't wrapped my arms around that yet.
Yes.
I don't want to mislead y'all, because we had all sort of formed consensus around a local approach would be great. It seems like that might take us still more time, which we still have. Or do we go with the professional route? And we could always go the professional route, and then the product that they hand us that we purchase from them, we could still form a local group to look over that
That's
and see if there's any kind of
what I
touches they would want to make to that, or would recommend that we make.
Yeah, I was gonna suggest that same, kind of like we did with the maps. The precinct changes, just have like a public input session on these and invite folks to come and.
So I'm not sure what y'all think, and then of course I'd love to get staff's input, but I want us to check
And
with y'all
then
first.
the other thing I was gonna suggest is, so we don't spend a lot of time on this, is add this to the November 7th and just keep it real brief on a report. You can report back on what Hank requested of you. We can talk about it for 5-10 minutes. And then revisit it in December.
Right.
Is that pushing it too far down the road?
Not to me, but, I was wants to speak on what, Adam had said. And I think your suggestion is good because we don't really have anything to show them. And input right now, we're kind of depending on the professionals to do what we need done. And whatever tightening up that the community feels like needs to be, done for it, I think that will probably be a better route to take. Because, none of us are professionals, and I don't perceive that anyone in the community is a professional when it comes to the job that we need done. So you guys suggesting that we, do it like we did before, I think that's a good suggestion.
Yeah, and you sparked my memory again because I realized I want to read the proposal from Ad Astra, I believe, and I did not do that, so.
How much weight do we give to what local input is into comparing what we get from the professionals? Because that could be an ever-ending road right there.
It's true. That's true. I definitely would be very leery. Like, for example, I might know someone who is fluent in Spanish, but I would need to weigh their proposal versus this professional organization that made a translation. If we get a room full of 15 or 20 of those local Athenians who all unanimously agree, this should be changed to this, that might make me a little more sympathetic, because I'm with you. If we're going to pay some good money for this, I don't want to just throw that aside because someone says change this word.
But if
There's a balance to be struck, I think.
if we use the same model like we did, like, this is what we did, this is what we want to do, what do you think? And if nobody shows up, great. If 50 people show up and say, well, the sentence is backwards or whatever the thing is, right? Then we can go back to the vendor and say, community members suggested this, maybe one of your colleagues can take another look at it or something,
So, try to wind it up maybe 1 or 2 meetings so we don't stretch out so long.
Yeah.
Get some central locations from some community. I'm sorry, guys. Get some central locations from some of the people in the community and maybe have a couple of meetings. And just get the word out to them and, go from there. I agree. We don't want something endless. And I think that the nuances of the Spanish language and the different nuances of it are not going to be that far off to where if they don't speak maybe the same dialect, it won't be far off where people can't understand it.
Right. That makes sense to me. I recall somebody, it might have been one of us, might have been somebody from staff had proposed, like if we were going to go with a non-professional organization, at least get someone who's a court appointed stenographer or court translator, somebody with more credentials. But anyway, so it sounds like we're agreeing to go more the professional with one of the two vendors that
I think that would be safer because you could get 50 opinions.
Right. Yeah. So I guess if it's okay with y'all, then I'd love to hear from Director Sosby and anybody else from the county who want to speak about that. What do you think?
Yes, thank you. So the contract process for Athens-Clarke County, we're on track as far as getting the contract, allowing the attorney's office to take a look at it. But from that point, the staff will review the contract to notice any comments from the attorney's office, of course. Then the contract is sent to our risk management to review, to ensure that provisions regarding insurance is, we're right there where we need to be. Then the contract is submitted back to the vendor for review. And then we receive it back. At that time, it's in its final draft stage. Then if both staff and vendor agrees that the contract is inclusive, that it includes everything that we need, then the vendor ensures proper signatures and are on the contract. The contract is then transmitted to the mayor office, the mayor manager's office for review for signatures. And then the work is ready to begin.
Seems
I'm
pretty
going to
standard.
suggest that we not use the public for any of this because this is very sensitive. It's a legal document that we're going to
We're
be
not-
hearing with the vendor.
We're not talking about the public reviewing them.
I'm saying
Contract.
groups. I'm saying groups that will be looking at the work. Because the work, when you do a contract with a vendor, you're relying on them to do what the contract says. It's just get it right. And if we go back and add somebody else in between it, then who do we hold liable if we're sued? Do we hold the group liable or do we hold the vendor liable? The contract's with the vendor, not the group. And this is a very sensitive matter. If you get one word wrong, because somebody had an opinion, I would rather us be going to court with the vendor than a group
That's a good
that
point.
changes
That's a very good.
all the
point.
time.
That's a good point.
Because groups have officers. Officers change all the time. That's my suggestion. That I believe would be under the guidelines of the policy as written through Athens-Clarke County. We would have the backing of our attorney, of course. We would have that anyway. But that's the way all of our contracts are done. And I think we need to follow the guidelines that's provided by Athens-Clarke County policy.
I think the elections director is, as she should be, is concerned about putting information out to the public about elections that could be incorrect. And if it's incorrect, we want to be able to make sure the onus is on someone.
Okay.
I will say this, that if y'all want to have public comment on anything, that is your prerogative. Say it's a bit unusual to have public comment on a translation. The affordable housing plan, for example, consultant came in and did it. We had public comment with the homelessness plan. That's pretty common. But to have public comment or a public meeting about a translation, that's a bit unusual. However, I think that's y'all's prerogative to do that. I share Director Sosby's concern on liability. Our contract's going to cover liability. Whoever we hire has to have the right insurance. So if they do something that's wrong, we're going to point at them. It won't be anybody else's fault. It's on them. It's part of the contract. So I thank you, Charlotte, for saying that because I was also going to mention that. I really want to go back real quick on the steps that Director Sosby set forth earlier. One step that I didn't hear was related to how we award who's selected. So as my understanding, there's 2 vendors. Is that right? So staff will have a recommendation. We'll recommend it to the board. And then ultimately, again, y'all have the final say, along with a recommendation. Say, we recommend this group because X, Y, Z.
Which is pretty standard,
That's
what you do
standard.
with everything else in this.
Yeah.
government.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I said we go with what they say and the onus should be on them.
Yeah.
Typically happens.
My two thoughts is I think there might be a slight misunderstanding about what we want and process you're outlining, because I don't think there's anything outrageous or uncommon or I mean, I go through this, yeah. It was my hope that in doing this, the final product, we could receive some input. And then we share the input with the vendor to ask them to review this, double check this. You're the expert, not
The community.
somebody off the street said, change this sentence. I mean, that's a stupid thing to do. Like, I mean, you take the input, the board looks at the input, goes, oh, well, I think that person's a little far off. We don't even need to bother the vendor with that. Or they make a valid point, vendor, this is what was brought to our attention. Would you look at it again or have someone else in your group look at it? Or, and if they come back, you know, we've all taken a second look at something and gone, huh, I missed that. So I think that's the thinking, a little bit of a misunderstanding.
I think
in the
that's
process.
generous, but you know, if we have 50 people show up, we're gonna have 50 opinions. And I still think it's better to go with the professionals and people.
But they will have the last say.
The community will just have to be big enough, mature enough to understand this has got to cover all the people that speak this language, not just your community or your family.
I would say that historically our events have not brought 50 people out. That's the risk I'm willing to take. But, you know, yeah, Ms. Family.
What I'm understanding you to say is the fact that the vendor will have the absolute last say so.
Right.
You know, for me, it's more of just some community involvement, you know, on a small level, you know, they won't be, and because the vendors are the professionals. And I think that I agree with you, Rocky, on the fact that I don't think we'll be making, that the public will be making any changes. But it's good to have our ear to the ground of what they think. It might it more than likely will not result in the suggestions that they make will make a change, because after all, the other people are the experts. And, you know, if you get a whole lot of suggestions, you know, yeah, and I'm pretty sure that either one of these people that we pick, they're going to be able to put it out there where I don't feel like the community will have any complaints
I agree.
if they are that professional.
And I would point out,
We've asked for particular in certain things to transpire.
these are all documents that will be open, subject to open record requests anyway,
Yes.
right? So, and that's my role on the board. I feel like I want to be an open, transparent board. So that's why.
Is there an example of something that you might want to get public input? So just for everybody to kind of hear, like an example of what the public would have to say or a comment on.
Right. So I guess I'll jump in on this. What I'm envisioning is like 95% of what we're going to get translated. I don't think there's much room. There's no controversy. It's vote here, mark here. Even the applications, if we were to get those documents translated, I'm pretty sure there's a pretty standard boilerplate translation for absentee ballot applications. What I'm wondering about might be the wording for a referendum, the language on like an amendment. Should the thing be amended for this? If there's some nuance to that perhaps the vendor, being a statewide vendor, might not know about for Athens-Clarke County
Like
specifically.
the homestead exemption.
Like, for example, maybe, and again, now that I'm saying that, it's not perhaps that complicated, but I just want to leave open the possibility that we don't leave some people out who might not understand that.
Are you thinking like the dialect?
I'm
Is
not.
that what we're going?
I mean, I'm
You know, I
pretty
don't-
sure that none of us in this room are linguists, so I mean, I don't know that I could comment on that.
I do, like, I know, like, the language that I'm the most familiar with besides English is Japanese, and there are many different, and we're not doing Japanese translation, but I'm sensitive enough to that to know that there's completely different ways you would write the thing or different verbs you would use to mean different things. I have no idea if Spanish is the same way or not. I'm just trying to leave room for that as a blind spot that I have. And maybe there's nothing to it. Maybe people will say, are you kidding me? It's fine. It's standard.
I have a question.
It's not, that's a great point. I had to learn this the hard way in a former position. There's a very specific way to write, and I'm not the professional here, but I'll let the professional say this, as I understand it's a very specific way to write in a different language, because there are so many different dialects. That's why I said that, because, in the past life, I had some documents translated that I didn't know what was being said, but apparently it was written in a way that was not high dialect, if that makes sense. And I had no idea. We had an outside person come in and said, no, that's not the way it needs to be written. It needs to be written this way. But I say that to say, is the public going to tell us this, or is the professional going to tell us this? That's all. Yeah. But I hear you. I know exactly what you're saying.
Pembroke, and then,
And,
yeah, it should. Have a comment first.
How did DeKalb County handle that?
Perhaps we need to revisit our conversation with them.
I'd be happy to reach out. But my understanding is they didn't involve a professional vendor. They found a project manager who put together community groups, who then proposed things. Not hearing the concerns about risk and liability and contracting, that makes me wonder how they made themselves comfortable with that. But it seems like, from what I understood, they went much more the homegrown route. But I know they're, of course, I don't think they were willy-nilly about anything.
Yeah, I mean, their attorneys are just as competent as
Right,
ours,
right.
I'm assuming, so.
So I'll go ahead and reach out to them, but.
yeah, I was thinking about amendments and referendums where sometimes you read them in English and you don't know if you're voting for or against something.
That's the way they're written.
So,
Absolutely right, Charles.
um,
I'm serious, because look, I have to get all of like when we have amendments, I have to get them and I have to read them 3 or 4 times. And then I have to take my little paper with me. Oh, I can check out what,
absolutely.
because it seems like they are written in confusion. I mean, that's my opinion.
It's legal ones.
Okay, so how about this? I think we're getting
Please.
Right.
a little bit off track.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're not making any decisions today.
Mhm.
Let's dedicate 10 minutes and actually spend 10 minutes on it on November 7th. See where we are. You can look at those numbers, 2 minutes on that. And then from there, we can figure out next steps, either formally voting on the recommendation of the staff. Does that sound like a good path forward?
It does to me. I wonder though, I don't think anything is gonna come up in our process in the next few weeks that will change the process forward, which is staff recommends a vendor, we approve that vendor, contracting starts. So would we like to also ask staff in the meantime to prepare a proposal to us of which of those 2 vendors?
My concern is it's election day. Staff
It's
does
true.
not need to worry
That's a good
about that on
That's a
election
good
day.
point. That's a good one.
That's
Yep.
my concern.
Yep, you're right.
So
Yep. So you're right. We'll just,
what,
December.
December? So, okay,
okay.
can we ask staff to prepare a recommendation for the December meeting?
That's what I would like, that we could.
I would still like to spend 10 minutes on it, discussing it,
Yeah.
just checking in.
Yeah.
Maybe some epiphany happens with one of us, I guess, and Hank will be there. So anyway, all right.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is an old item put forward by me, of which I don't have any to update on, and sorry, that agenda item is Emergency Operations Center for elections in 2024. Was there any progress on that? Conversations, dates, maybe from the manager's office or sorry, the director.
The emergency plan?
Emergency Operations Center, not necessarily plan.
We're still working through that. Matter of fact, they had a meeting today. Yeah, we don't have a plan yet. We don't. They're still working through it, and I thought having Hall County folks here was a fantastic thing. I didn't think about half the stuff they said, honestly. And then, we'll share that information with, see, we don't even have a emergency management coordinator, right?
Right.
That's part of the challenge. That's kind of why I don't have a point of contact. We're trying to figure out all the
Build that.
things right now. But once we have a point of contact, which I feel certain it'll be the fire department, we'll
Good.
make sure that it's part of it. And then we'll have them come here and allow them to kind of hear y'all if you have some comments, but I want Charlotte to be, her team to be able to speak to them as well. So yeah, I think that'll be in the making.
Could we put on the calendar for the December meeting?
After
to
the-
At least get an
after the new
update from
year?
you?
Yeah, sure. I'll give a brief update just like now. I think after the new year, we can actually have someone come to the board and speak to y'all about maybe what they intend to do as far as emergency management operations and continuity of operations.
And, would the Hall County director be able to present to whoever the management determines will be the point person?
I think that's probably, but I don't want to speak for, it'll probably be the fire department, but like, I don't want to speak for them. Say, hey, they'll do a presentation, but I know that they'll reach out to Hall County. I'll tell them to reach out to Hall County, but I suspect they're going to want to reach out to more than Hall County.
Right,
To understand kind of what we should be doing here. Not that Hall County doesn't have a good framework, but I would want them to reach out to Savannah, make a bid.
The more information,
Everybody, right?
the more information on that, the better.
Yes. Yeah. And I don't even know what it's going to look like, to be honest with you, right? I have no idea.
Oh.
But December, I can come back.
Sounds like
and
we're
say
making progress.
they're working on it.
Okay. So we'll spend some time, we'll make that an agenda for a formal update. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. We were just talking and the meeting for December is on the second Tuesday, of course. That Tuesday will be in conference.
Oh.
And trying to see if we can move it to the Tuesday before or,
Tuesday
um,
after gets awfully close to Christmas.
yeah, so,
Well, who cares?
um, wanted to see. if
I'm okay with meeting on December 5th. I would rather not meet on the 19th.
The mayor commissions night,
That's a Monday.
that's me,
First Tuesday.
it is mayor
December.
commission night.
The first Tuesday of the month always.
December 4th?
Is that a Tuesday?
That's
a
a
Does
Monday.
it have to be on a Tuesday?
Yeah.
I think,
Yes, we need to.
It's
advertise
set.
it.
Let's
yeah.
we'll set the calendar for the year. We voted on it.
Yeah, we did. Well, we can change the calendar. It's not a law.
It's just coming out of the meeting. Obviously.
Why, so, I'm sorry, forgive the dumb question. December the 5th, Tuesday, I understand the mayor and commission meeting means that we will likely not be able to have someone from the manager's office or the attorney's office here. Help me understand.
I'll be here. Okay. I don't have to cover
What is it, the second Tuesday?
the first Tuesday.
We're thinking of moving this to the first Tuesday because of something we have on the second Tuesday.
Is this the first Tuesday? Sorry.
This is normally the second Tuesday,
It's normally, yeah.
but the
First
second,
Tuesday's voting meeting. Okay.
there we go. Thank
All
you.
right. Hold on.
Right, I see.
Yeah.
We potentially will be making a final vote on the contract for or at least the vendor. So it would be great to have legal advice. If the manager's office is not able to be here, we can still proceed. We'd love to have the manager's office here, but we had to proceed without
I mean,
that.
our meeting does start an hour and a half before theirs, so there is some.
And this should be the only item, heavy item on the agenda for the December meeting after the election, getting ready for election.
Should have already.
We have an executive session sometimes, and I suspect there will be an executive session.
Okay, but for us, Denver, can we not just meet on the first Tuesday? Keep it at the same day of the week at least?
Yeah, I'm fine with
I'm fine
December
with
5th.
that.
Is that okay with our people, our staff?
Okay, December 5th.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is new business. And the first item under that is the approval of the poll precinct managers. I'll pass this around, but we have a list in front of us with names their assigned precinct, the training, the date in which they receive training, how many hours both online and in person. So once everyone's had a chance to review, I'll entertain a motion to accept as presented. Oh, we're just reviewing. Okay,
We gotta
the
vote first.
preemptive signature.
Vote first.
We- It's fine. Maybe he'll object. Just scratch your name off. Can we have this color paper all the time? I kind of like it. It's nice on the eyes. No, it's nice on the eyes. I'm being.
It is, see that, yeah, it is.
Can we have all our agendas in this color from now? All right, the floor is open, for a motion to accept.
I so move.
Okay, do we have a second? Motion, Ms. Fambro, second, Ms. Till. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Sorry.
Now,
Who made the motion?
Ms. Fambro.
Thank you, Captain. Second round still.
Uh-huh. 10. Okay. Right. Okay, moving on with the agenda, the next item are announcements. There's a long list, so here we go. October 1st through the 7th was National Voter Education Week. We've now moved on. Those are all October 5th that happened. On Tuesday, October 10th is the deadline to register or update registration and time to vote on the November election, which is today. So register to vote before midnight. Next item under announcements on October 11th is the Election Education Forum for elected officials and political parties. I believe Ms. Till and I will be attending that. And if you want. My treat. City Hall. Oh.
Commission.
Okay, in City Hall and the Commission Chamber. Next item on the list is Monday, October 16th. That's the earliest date the Department of Elections is allowed to mail absentee ballots. And that's when advanced voting begins, as discussed earlier in the meeting. Next item on the agenda is Tuesday, November 7th, which is Election Day. And then we had some dates to add. As discussed earlier, we will hold our certification meeting on Monday, November 13th, 4:30 p.m. at the Lexington Road location. We will also hold a special call meeting on November 7th at 4:30 p.m. also at the Lexington Road location. And last call for announcements or comments.
Our regular meeting for November will be Tuesday, November the 14th.
Okay, yep.
Our regular meeting for December has been moved to Tuesday, December the 5th. Do we know if that location will probably not be here?
We don't know. I mean, I'll call and find out. If not, you can have it in the training room.
Wonderful. All right. Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. Okay, all the, motion Ms. Till, second Ms. Fambro. All those in favor say aye.